Right, so we are now into the pistol round, so we'll just roll out this round and see what happens. I did take some notes earlier, and I'll be going over what you should have done right this round in order to win it. So we're doing a B rush right now. Alright, so you got the entry onto the guy, onto the pillar, and you also got the kill on sight. Right. So here you push out and you get the kill onto the guy pillar, then you die to the guy on sight. Now, as far as a round goes, I don't necessarily think it's your fault because the bomb wasn't really planted for you. In my opinion, the best course of action would have been to either play the pillar, play the object to kill the last CT, or to even play a different position on the bomb site when you actually entered, like playing bench or van, or maybe even apps, because that way you can actually reach the bomb. And because you're stuck on shore and the bomb wasn't planted for you, it kind of put you under pressure. So I'll show you now what you should have done right. Okay, so here we are into the pistol round. So one thing I did notice was that as you were rushing onto B, you weren't very careful with how you pick any angles. Try and be a bit more methodical with how you peek the angles, because I try and like jiggle peek sometimes as you're running, or even better, just keep jumping around, because that way if you're jumping across, it'll be harder for them to get a headshot onto you. But what you did by jumping onto the down here and then killing the guy pillar and the guy on site was absolutely great. I just think one thing you should have done was, as the bomb was planted in this location, it would have been good for you to perhaps play the bench area, because it was a 2v2 and there weren't many of your teammates left. So play this area is quite good because you can reach the bomb more easily. Or you could have played the van position, or you could have played apps as well, because that way the bomb is kind of planted for you. You can just swing out and try and make it harder for the enemy to win the round. But playing short was, in my opinion, quite a bad decision, because the bomb's planted away from you. You kind of forced to push out, and it's quite a difficult position to play in. So next time, base your positioning around where the bomb is. That's all I have to say. Okay, so we are on to the round after you've lost, and I can see you bought an AK, which is quite good. And we'll just cover your decision making throughout this round. So you're pushing underpass. Okay, that's good. Okay, so try and take more care when being underpass like that, because it was kind of risky to just push out really quick. So you take the fight onto mid, you die from short. You're kind of being surrounded from connector and short and mid. This whole round could have gone a lot better, I think. So I'll be covering in-game the best course of action you could have taken for this situation. Okay, so in response to what I just watched, I saw that you pushed underpass like this. Since you do have an AK, which is like the most valuable weapon for your team in that round, pushing like this to underpass is kind of almost kind of risky. But if you do want to peek underpass, try and be a bit more careful with how you peek it. So maybe like kind of like jiggle peek it kind of thing. Because if you're straight up just running without pre-aiming onto underpass, it's a very easy kill for them. I think the whole idea of rushing underpass is kind of a bad thing to do. Usually after losing a pistol round, your economy isn't as good as the CTs. A good thing to do would have been for you to just rush B with your team. And even better, as bad as it sounds, you could have baited your teammates out as well, because the kills, because losing the AK in a rush is actually not really good. But what I did notice was, as you did push underpass, so did the rest of your team. And I noticed that when you did push underpass, you kind of just like saw the guy top mid. You kind of sat under windows here. I mean, at this point, it would have been good to fall back because none of your teammates, you know, pushed up a mid. You don't know whether there's a player on short or on window or on connector. And what ended up happening was the enemy team just ended up just doing like a coordinated push and killed all of you guys in underpass. So next time if you find yourself in a position like this, don't be afraid to fall back if you know it's safe. Don't force yourself to be into positions you don't want to be in, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, next time if you do lose a pistol round, the best thing to do for you would be to just play in a really aggressive round instead of slowly pushing on the pass. Okay, so we're now on to the 4th round. You bought an AK. I can see you have 1600 cash left, which would have been nice for you to buy some nades. Okay, so you're pushing mid right now. You end up getting a kill onto window. That's well played. You're peeking a short, in connector. You heard a guy window. You saw his flash go out. Okay, so you definitely know one's window. So you're sitting on the window right now. And you're flashed on window. So someone's underpass. Right, and then you died from the cross on the guy A. So this round could have gone a lot better in your favor, and I'll show you why in game. Okay, so this is for the 4th round. So one thing I noticed was you had a smoke, a flash, and a molly for the whole round. I noticed that you did dry peek mid, and then you managed to get the kill onto the guy in window. And then I noticed you kind of just like rushed down to, you know, under the window area. You knew a guy was window, you knew a guy was short. And then what ultimately happened was that you ended up dying as you were trying to cross onto short, and then your AWP from A killed you. There are a lot of ways this round could have gone a lot better. A good thing to do as you you know, cross a short, smoke off connector, and then molly window. Because what this does is it gets rid of the AWPer or anyone trying to peek from connector from A, and it also gets rid of any enemies who are trying to kill you from window. And that gives you kind of like a free passage to go to A with your teammates. But the only issue of that round was you had all this utility, but you never actually used it. I mean, another thing you could have done to actually peek mid more safely was to just smoke top mid with this lineup here. And by doing that, it would have given you and your teammates a more easier way to actually kill the guy on window. So make use of your utility next time. Always smoke off connector or window, and before you go to short, because it's not worth taking these extra fights, because it will only make the round more difficult to win for you. Okay, so we're now on to round 6. So we'll just let the round play out. I can see you bought an auto. It's an interesting buy. Something quickly I wanted to point out was, so your teammate switching window, and so are you, and you got the kill onto the guy on connector. Just for future reference, always make sure that if your teammate is covering one angle, make sure that you're covering a different angle, because although you did get the kill onto the guy connector, just keep in mind that if you're leaving angles open which you could be covering, that's not really going to help you win the round. So next time, just try and cover those angles. Okay, so we're now on to the 7th round. See peak middle, that's okay. You kill the guy A, so well done on that. Your teammate's taking B, and you push short. Push out quite wide, you saw the guy go mark it. Probably told your teammates. Now you proceed to push onto site. And you molly mark it too, and that's fine. Right, so you kill the guy who tried to kill you, and ultimately died to the guy on B site. Okay, so personally, I think this round could have played out a lot better, and I'll show you what to do in game right now. Right, so what you could have done right for this round was instead of pushing up really close onto B with your auto sniper, because you know, you have no idea where the guys are. Like, you know, one guy could be in the apps, one guy could be here, one guy could be here. The point of the matter is you don't know where anyone is. So to make the situation more easier for yourself, I noticed that round you had a smoke and your teammate was pushing up. So next time just make sure, you know, just throw a simple smoke like this. Doesn't have to be anything perfect. But what that does is it kind of cancels out this area. And then just sit back and wait for an enemy to push into your crosshair. Because there's no point playing, you know, really far out with your auto sniper. Because, you know, you may get a kill, but you're going to be traded off eventually. However, if you just smoke off here, just sit and wait for the enemy to push into your crosshair, you can assist your teammate by playing back, because what happens is your teammate should be running onto the site, but you shouldn't be running onto the site either. You should be playing back here and trying to help him out. Okay, so we're now on to the 11th round. You still have the auto sniper. That's fine. Teammate flashes mid, you're pushing with him. You kill the guy window. That was a good kill. Now again, another issue that I mentioned earlier was that, okay, so you just died on short. So a good thing to do for this round would have been to not peek out so far or overextend. And I'll show you in game what you could have done to basically play out this round a lot better. Because I feel like this round's a good example of the kind of mistakes you're making on mid when trying to take control. So I'll show you in game what you could have done better. Okay, so we're now in game, so I'm going to be covering the 11th round where you overextended onto short and the enemy from here managed to kill you when you had the auto sniper. Instead of wide swinging like this, if you have a sniper, always peek the angle really thin, or even better, use your utility in order to, you know, bait out the position from the enemy and take control. Instead of wide swinging, just use your utility in order to safely peek these angles, because you don't know when the enemy will be pushing you from this position. So next time you do push short, make sure you peek the angle thin, or you just, you know, just throw like a simple molly over. And by doing that, it allows you to take control of short more easily and hopefully not die. Okay, so we're now on to the 13th round. You can see you're trying to do a set smoke. That's fine. One thing I do want to point out is next time you do smoke top mid, try and smoke the top mid short area by smoking from, like, you know, like to the right side of T-spawn, like where the bin is, because by doing that it's a lot quicker to catch up with your teammates, and you can provide them help and support more quickly. So I can see you're pushing mid. I noticed that a lot of these rounds you do like pushing up to short with the auto sniper. I do understand you have a lead on the enemy, but a good thing to do, in my opinion, would be to just camp top mid and wait for anyone to push connector or short. So just peeking onto the sites like this. So it's good that you got a kill. Alright, so my only issue with this round is that you kind of wide peeked onto the guy on the B site. I'll show you in game what you could have done better in order to, you know, take the round more easily and more safe, and make it more safe proof for yourself. Okay, so we're now on the next round. What I noticed was you got the kill onto the guy on A site, so that was really good. And I noticed you actually overextended onto the short position and died from an enemy here. Quite similar to how you actually overextended on this area here. So I think one of the things you should probably work on is taking short control and being quite careful with how you do it. Because, you know, you died from here, in this position, and then you died from overextending here, peeking wide. If you are going to peek wide, make sure you have like a flash ready. Sorry, you can just throw like a simple little flash over. And then peek. But just whatever you do, don't peek out really wide. Just peek out really thin. Or if you want to just play for info. Just like this, you know? You just jiggle peek for info. You don't need to fully extend out to kill the enemy after you've just gotten the advantage by killing the guy on A. So be thoughtful, more thoughtful of where you peek next time when you entry B from short. And I think this is one of the things you could probably work on maybe. Okay, so we're now on to the CT half. And what I've noticed is that you've bought an M4 rifle with a grenade. I mean, I think there's not really an issue with buying a rifle. My only issue is if you have an M4 and you lose it on site, then the terrorists will have this weapon and it'll be really advantageous for them. If you were to buy an SMG with utility, you know, with a flashbang, smoke, grenades, it would mean that if your teammates do lose a site, you can use that utility to be able to play for retakes. But if you're just playing with an M4 and your teammates lose a site, then it means that you know, you'll have to save the gun, or you'll have to play for retake, and if you lose a retake, you'll be losing the M4. But you know, as far as it goes, this round wasn't really particularly an issue. It was more of an issue got to do with the buying decision you made after winning the pistol round. So next time you do win a pistol round, just buy an SMG with utility instead. Okay, so we're on to round 18. Your teammate mollies the ramp. You jump across. Okay, so my only issue with that is don't peek ramp like that, because if you do face up against an AWP, 9 times out of 10 you'll lose that battle. So try not to peek ramp like that next time. So we'll just let the round play out. Right, so in this instance, you know that there's an enemy just outside of underpass because you heard the shots, and you know your teammates died. In this scenario, it'll be a good decision for you to fall back onto the stairs on A or play close connector, because right now you're in a really exposed position, which it makes you quite vulnerable to any pushes. So let's see how the round goes. Yes, as you can see, you just died. So I noticed that this round you had a Molotov, a grenade, and you know you had utility. A good thing to do this round would have been to actually, instead of you know, trying to trade off your teammate, to kind of like jiggle peek the connector angle. So I'll show you in game what you could have done right. Okay, so for round 18, I noticed that you were playing the connector area right in the middle. I noticed your teammate died and the enemy was here, and then he swung onto you and managed to kill you because you decided to take the fight. I noticed that in this particular round you had a smoke and you also had a HE grenade. I think the best course of action for you was, as soon as your teammate died, instead of trying to you know, trade off your teammate, which is the right thing to do, just smoke off the connector area and throw a grenade. But you want to do this immediately after your teammates died, because once you put the smoke down, the T's will be tempted to push the connector area, and it may grant you a kill or two. Just whatever you do, make sure you never take a fight with the terrorist from the connector position when you're in the middle. Because if you do take the fight, he can jiggle peek, kind of like mess with your aim, or crouch peek, which is what he did. But you're just stuck in the middle of connector and you can't really do much. If you really want to trade with your teammate, then play an off angle like this, because as you know, as someone does entry onto your connector, this will be the spot they are least likely to look at. So in this scenario, it would have been to play this position here, or even better, just a fallback, or you could have played a position like here, like jiggle peek it, or you could have played here. But whatever you do, just don't ever play in the open area like this, because it's very risky. Okay, so we're now onto the buy round on the CT half, round 20. You have full utility, you have an AK, you nade a ramp, or you try to nade a ramp, and then you smoke ramp. I recommend, instead of doing what you just did, just immediately smoke off the ramp area and play a position like stairs, or just play on site, because the time it took you to throw that smoke could have been the time the terrorist could have actually pushed out and killed you. So do keep that in mind next time. And now we can see you moving up to Palace, and you hear some steps onto Palace as well. Now, I don't recommend you play this position because you have only one teammate on the A site, as you can see on the radar, and of course you as well. And playing a really risky position like this, it will grant you a kill. However, the enemy will know where you are, and if you do die, then your teammate will, you know, kind of be stuck alone and will have to defend the bomb site himself. So let's see what ends up happening. So you got the kill. Then, like I said, you got traded off from ramp and your teammate died. And as you can see, both of you have died in the exchange for one of the terrorist players, and you got a terrorist player here. So now the terrorists have the A sites themselves. They have A control. So next time you are on the A bomb site and you do his steps towards A, don't play close. Play far back onto the site. Play a position where you can fall back or get a kill. And I'll show you in game what you could have done more correctly. Okay, so next time you do play A, I noticed you were playing default earlier. This position was completely fine, but then for some reason you went up to Palace, because I think you heard maybe some noise. Don't react that way. Just stay in your same position, or even better, you could have played like up here and wait for the Palace guy to peek you, or you could have played down here. Wait for the ramp player, because if you play on the boxes here, all you have to worry about is this Palace area, and as long as mid is covered, you don't have to worry about your flank. So you can peek Palace, you can peek a ramp. So if you're playing on a site with just your teammate, and it's just you and him, it's much better to play a position like this, because it's more easy to peek the enemies that way. But if you play here, yes, you get a kill onto the guy Palace, but then the guy ramp knows you're there and he will trade you off before you get a chance to kill him. So next time, just help your teammate on the site and try not to die so quickly by pushing quite far up, because there is no need to push that far. You could have also played under Palace here. That would have been okay. But playing in a position like that is you're quite exposed to a lot of angles which you can't cover. So make sure next time you don't push up so close. Okay, so we're now on to the buy round of round 23. So we'll just let the round play out. Again, you peek ramp. Just make sure you jump across next time, because that way, if there is an AWP and you peeked an AWP like that, you'll probably die. So let's continue playing the round out. So your teammate died on Palace, and in the time it took you to throw this nade, the enemy could have been pushing you. So 1-0. Right, so as far as it goes, it is unlucky that you did die to the guy at A, but next time you are stuck in this position, make sure you basically play in the connector area, because if you wait stairs and the enemy knows you're there, then they can easily push you. However, if you're playing from connector, your teammate, who you can see on the radar, is playing in the mid area, could have rotated to help you. I'll show you in game if it makes it easier for you to understand what you could have done more correctly. Okay, so for round 23, I noticed that your teammate died from Palace. The guy got onto the A site, and you were kind of just playing around the connector area, and you end up dying from the guy on A. I understood you kind of got stuck in this connector area, but it would have been better for you to fall back to this position immediately, because that way you're safe and you won't die, and you can wait for your teammate on short to rotate. And then once your teammate done that, you could have played to a retake. Another thing you could have done was to go to the stairs. You can flash out like this, throw a nade onto site, and then you could have just peeked out really carefully and tried to take the engagement. But yeah, I understand you did get caught while trying to fall back. That's fine. But if you don't feel confident to kill all the enemies, just sit in connector and wait for your teammate to rotate, and then you can play for retake by using all your nades, and then using the 2 flashes which you did have available to you. So next time you are stuck in that kind of position, just fall back. There's no point in trying to take the engagement.